I always thought my family loved me in their own way. I grew up alongside my brother, sharing birthdays, holidays, and family dinners, believing we were equals in every sense. But life, as I was about to discover, had other plans. It started with a casual conversation I overheard at my parents' house. I had gone over one weekend to drop off a few things, and my mom and dad were talking quietly in the living room. Something in their tone made me pause. They weren't whispering, exactly, but I could tell the topic wasn't meant for me. I leaned closer, curiosity getting the better of me. That's when I heard my father say, "We have to make sure she isn't included in the will. Legally, she isn't part of this family." Time stopped. My mind went blank. I replayed the words, hoping I had misheard. But no, they were clear. I wasn't part of the family. I wanted to confront them right then and there, but I couldn't. Shock had rooted me to the spot. My parents, the people I had trusted my entire life, had decided, without telling me, that I didn't deserve a share of what I had assumed was my birthright. Weeks later, the reality hit me harder. I received a notice from our family lawyer regarding the estate settlement. My brother had inherited everything. The house, investments, family business, even collectibles that had been passed down for generations. And I was not mentioned. Not a single word. I sat in my apartment, the letter trembling in my hands. My heart was pounding, my stomach twisted into knots. I had always thought inheritance was a family matter, something shared among children, not decided based on favoritism or a hidden agenda. But here it was, staring me in the face. My parents had legally erased me from their plans. I called my brother immediately. "Did you know about this?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. He sounded just as shocked. I didn't know either. Mom and Dad never told me anything. I just got the letter too. That moment, strangely, was a small relief. At least I wasn't alone in my surprise. But relief quickly turned to anger. How could they do this without even telling me? Without even discussing it? How could they decide my worth like this? Growing up, I had tried to be the obedient, helpful child. I worked hard, graduated with honors, and always followed the rules my parents set. I thought I was doing everything right. And yet, they had decided I was less, unworthy, not even part of the family. I spent days in a blur of emotions: anger, betrayal, sadness, disbelief. Every memory of my childhood replayed itself, moments when I had been overlooked, ignored, or subtly criticized. Now it all made sense. Their favoritism had been intentional. Their love had been conditional. I couldn't confront them yet. The sting was too fresh, and I knew my words would come out more from hurt than reason. I needed clarity, a plan. I decided to take control of my own life. I couldn't change my parents, and I couldn't change the fact that my brother had inherited everything. But I could build a life independent of their decisions. I focused on my career, my friendships, and my personal growth. Each day became an act of reclaiming my dignity. I invested time in myself, enrolled in courses, and built networks that valued me. Slowly, the anger began to transform, not into resentment, but into determination. If my parents had tried to diminish me, I would rise higher. I also sought legal counsel. While I knew the inheritance was legally their choice, understanding my options gave me a sense of empowerment. Knowledge became my weapon against helplessness, and slowly, I felt the weight of their betrayal shift into something I could use as motivation. The letter from the lawyer remained on my desk for weeks. It was a constant reminder of their choice, of their judgment. But instead of letting it crush me, I used it as fuel. Every promotion, every achievement, every small victory was a way to prove to myself, not them, that I was worthy. And then, one evening as I reflected on the events, I realized something important. I didn't need their approval. I didn't need their inheritance. I had value, dignity, and the ability to create a life on my own terms. Their decision, cruel as it was, could no longer define me. Months passed. My career began to flourish, and with each promotion, each recognition, I felt a sense of pride I had never felt before. I was no longer the overlooked child in my family's shadow. I was carving my own path, creating a life that was entirely mine. I also started building a support system outside my family. Friends who truly valued me became my chosen family. Mentors guided me, colleagues respected me, and slowly, I realized that love, validation, and belonging weren't limited to blood. I didn't need my parents' approval to feel worthy. Volunteering became a big part of my life. I worked with children who, like me, felt invisible at home, neglected, or overlooked. Helping them find their voice reminded me of my own journey. I wanted them to know that their worth wasn't determined by family favoritism or inheritance. They mattered just as they were. Each smile, every thank you, became a quiet validation that I was on the right path. Then, unexpectedly, my mother called. My heart stopped. For a moment, I thought about ignoring it. But curiosity and the desire for closure nudged me to pick up. I wanted to check how you're doing, she said softly, almost cautiously. I paused, measuring my response. I'm doing well, I said firmly. I've built a life I'm proud of. I don't need anyone else to define my worth. There was silence on the other end, then a quiet, uncertain, I hope you're happy. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. My happiness wasn't theirs to give, or take. I had already built it, brick by brick, with my own hands. Over the next few years, I continued to focus on my growth. I traveled, explored new opportunities, and invested in myself emotionally, professionally, and financially. The inheritance that had once felt like the ultimate prize no longer mattered. I had gained something far more valuable: independence, confidence, and a sense of identity that couldn't be taken from me. I even rebuilt my relationship with my brother. He had also been caught in the family's complicated dynamics, and we found solace in supporting each other, outside of parental influence. We laughed, shared memories, and grew closer, not because of shared inheritance, but because of shared understanding and love. Life began to feel lighter. I celebrated holidays with friends and mentors who had become my true family. Birthdays, graduations, and even small victories were moments of joy, full of people who genuinely cared about me. I didn't feel the emptiness I once did during family gatherings. The day I purchased my own apartment, fully on my own, I felt an overwhelming sense of triumph. That apartment wasn't just a living space. It was proof that I had taken a devastating blow and turned it into empowerment. My parents' attempt to diminish me had backfired. Their cruelty had become my motivation. I often think back to the moment I first discovered I had been left out of the inheritance. It still stings, of course. But now, it serves as a reminder that I am capable of building a life that is fully my own. I am defined by my choices, my actions, and the people I surround myself with, not by the arbitrary decisions of those who failed to see my worth. Eventually, I came to understand the truth. Family isn't always about blood. Family is about love, respect, and support. My parents had tried to erase me from their world, but I had created a world that embraced me fully. I had proven that I am enough, that my value is inherent, and that I can build a rich, meaningful life even without their approval. The inheritance they had denied me? It had never been the measure of my worth. I had inherited something far greater: the knowledge that I am strong, resilient, and capable of thriving on my own. The family I chose, the life I built, and the respect I earned for myself became my real legacy. By the end of this chapter of my life, I realized something profound: rejection doesn't define you. Abandonment, favoritism, or unfair treatment doesn't diminish your value. What matters is how you respond, how you rebuild, and how you rise above the cruelty that life, or family, may throw at you. I survived their betrayal. I thrived. I belong, finally, in a life I chose for myself. I am not defined by their choices. I am defined by mine. And in that truth, I found freedom, pride, and a lasting sense of belonging I had never experienced as a child.